Welcome back again to the Unlearning Curve. Joining us today is JD Forehand, also with Karl Forehand, and I'm Stuart Delony, where we talk about anything from mental health to politics to whatever the hell's in our mind. And if you want to reach out to us and tell us whatever the hell's on your mind, you can reach us at theunlearningcurvepodcast@gmail.com. And I think we're going to be doing something. What are we talking about? Dating or something like that, JD? Because you said the title that we're going with is You're Just Not That Into Him. And not that he's not that into you. So we don't want to make that.
He seems to love you. I mean,
yeah.
Well, it kind of depends on where we're at in the Bible. Old Testament, maybe he's a little bit of an abusive boyfriend, but
yeah.
We'll get into that. But this is not even like, obviously, I framed it because we all come from the Christian tradition, but I do think that for me, it's not Christian only, seeing a lot of different religious traditions. There's issues in all of them, but my issue is that I think, according to like a lot of, especially the more kind of like extremist theology, or like what I've heard through my time in church especially, I don't think that most Christians like genuinely believe in Jesus, because to be honest, I think if a lot of people really believed in like the most extremist tenets of their religion, they would probably be some sort of extremist, let's say. So my issue is like, I don't believe that anyone really believes in their faith that much, because when it's convenient, they will kind of cut it off. And so that's where I want to start this. And I have a bunch of questions, and we don't have to get to all of them, and we can jump around or whatever, but it just kind of drives me crazy to just hear these people that claim to devote their whole lives, their whole being to religion, and then at the simplest convenience, they just kind of dip out and go, well, it wasn't God's plan or whatever. There's just a lot of excuses. I don't know. It's frustrating me, and also I'm losing my voice right now because I didn't teach for a week, and now I've been teaching all weekend, and then I taught all day today. So I'm gonna try to keep my voice together. What are your initial thoughts about that?
I'm waiting for the full RFK Jr. to kick in.
No,
and so we'll get there.
RFK syndrome really bad.
Your RFK is getting better. You've been practicing.
Acetaminophen.
I genuinely believe if acetaminophen causes autism, I think we should greatly increase the amount in the supply, because most of my most intelligent friends are on the spectrum. So,
including your dad, I think.
Well, to be fair, let's be honest. Who has scored highest on the autism scale?
I don't know. You didn't see mine.
What's your score? That's
unofficial. I don't remember.
It's become a competition. This is how the Forehand household works, Stuart.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
That's
Stuart.
Lily tested me.
No, I'll step aside.
So
Keep
wait.
guys.
Did you outscore Lily?
I think so. Or it was close.
So I know I did.
Close.
I know I did, because she
It's
complained.
close.
She was very Forehand about it. It wasn't close for me, so I win. Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it, everyone. All right, most autistic in my family. So anyway,
is that what we call the autism off? And you just won it?
Also, I want to be clear. Like, the test that we're talking about taking, it's a self-report, so like there's issues with it, and like it's not perfect.
Oh, so you may have been cheating on this.
I am
Shut up,
Stuart.
We need an asterisk next to your win.
Yeah.
I do teach psychology, so I do have an unfair advantage, but to be fair,
I'm very sorry I got you off track. I saw earlier today, a TikTok video, and that convinced me that I was right, even though I don't know for sure.
It is how it generally is, isn't it? With how religion works.
Is that basically just like, his voice is basically just, what is it, resting I'm taking a shit voice? Yeah. Now that I'm watching it, like, it's just a struggle constantly. It's just, it's the thing,
pain.
This is where hemorrhoids are born in this. It's just too much clenching and
wormatosis.
Yeah.
It's wormatosis.
That's true. Yeah. Okay, where were we?
Go ahead, JD.
I mean, we're talking about it. Do you love God? Are you in a romantic? Because we were talking about religion in my psych social class today, which is complicated. But anyway, I kind of asked them, like, one of them was like, one of my students is like jokingly pretends that person is a Christian. I'm trying not to gender them to like give as little detail as possible, but that person just will say stuff like Jesus, God damn it, I messed up. Anyway, that person is said today that like, oh, Jesus is inside all of us, like making a joke. And then we got on a tangent of just like how uncomfortable a lot of the languages around the relationship between Christians and their God, right? I'm on my knees for you, Jesus. Pour into me. I'm full of you. Come into me, Jesus.
You're inside me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come,
Yeah.
Holy
Yeah.
Spirit, come.
It's weird.
Get
It's
inside me.
weird. It's weird,
Messy.
guys. So, but anyway, well, aftercare, right? But anyway, so my point is that it seems that
Your point is hide the black light?
Stop it, Stuart. Try to have a
You have
serious conversation.
no chance today, JD.
I don't. It's okay though. I love this. I thoroughly enjoy this. If we did this for 30 more minutes, that's okay with me. But that it doesn't. It seems like Jesus wants to come inside you, but it doesn't seem like you are willing, or you, not you, but you are willing to receive his.
He said, "Come."
Is this an issue of consent?
It might be. It might be. But it does
that
seem
makes Jesus sound really rapey.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
But
okay.
It does seem that. But my thing is, it doesn't seem like that's the issue, because it seems like Christians are consenting, but then they don't adhere to the criteria of the relationship. That's my main contention with this segment.
They don't understand what they're needing to.
Right. If you're going to let Jesus come into your front or back door, so to speak, are you like, shouldn't you follow the tenets of that religion, and shouldn't you guys have a holistic relationship? Which I just don't think is true, because there's so many instances, and this obviously, of course, gets to the idea that, is the Bible perhaps inconsistent in what it calls for? Did we talk about this in our first episode? Maybe. But it does seem that there's kind of some inconsistency there, and so it leads to an inability to follow through for Christians, right? Because I guess here's the first question. Let's start with this. Let's forget all of the disgusting things that we just said. What is, in terms of your guys's, when you guys were younger in the church, what were your ideals of what a Christian was? Because I think it's inconsistent depending on who I ask, because I've asked a lot of people. What do you guys think?
So you're
to have
saying
a relationship with Jesus and be a Christian,
Yeah.
what is it?
What does it like? What did it mean when I was like back in the church and in that space?
Right.
Or what
Yeah.
does it
Obviously,
mean
don't
now?
use right now, because you guys are just gonna be like, oh, that's bullshit.
When I went into the ministry, I remember being in Tony Lambert's church, who we've talked about on this podcast. Still my friend, I think. We still had discussions a couple weeks ago. But I remember going down the aisle. He was real persuasive in the way he did things. And I remember going in the aisle and kneeling in the middle of the aisle and saying, hearing the song in the background, "I surrender all." For me, the overriding message was submit. Submit to all this, and it's all going to be better. Even if you don't understand, even if it doesn't make sense, then submit. And then I read Tia Levin's book, and her husband's real into high control religions. The man's right, you're wrong, even to the point he can spank you and all that. But the message to the woman was submit. And so the places I've been around has always been conform, submit. Even if you don't understand, even if you don't feel right about it in your gut, then submit.
Well, and the submission, I think the submission is true for everyone, which is a very important point, but it's especially true for minorities, right? Like women, people who are in the whatever ethnic majority, or children should also submit. Submission is definitely a big thing. Again, sorry to go back to our dom sub sexuality thing, but
no, but even mentioning, I mean, if people that are raised in it, then let's use another weird word that we don't want to even say. Like, they're groomed into these systems. I mean, you're raised with it. This is all you know, and I think it's like it's accompanying. Like Karl, you said submit. I agree. I think it's submit, and then it takes it to a different place where it's submit, and then you know nothing because you are nothing, but God knows everything, and God is all good, and so then it kind of breaks us down in that place, and then we're also told trust the system.
Yeah, we lose your voice.
It just seems
which means the people in power are now speaking for Jesus.
Yeah.
the most powerful all hide, like, yeah, yeah. I tend to agree. I think that's a big thing, but I think that's where you can see people don't follow that, because then it gets back into these issues of, what does the Bible say, right? What does the Bible say about submission, right? Wives, submit to your husbands. But what if your husband says worship Satan?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I mean, that's obviously like the most extreme argument, right? But
Mm-hmm.
you could say that for anything, and I think
Yeah.
it just
I was just going to, I'm sorry. I was just going
yeah.
to say that
But,
Tia's husband was the least qualified to lead anything. He had mental illness. He had troubles. He didn't understand. He wasn't a quick learner. You know, but, but because of that system, he's, allowed to be in control. And
it's weird
honestly,
how it
that's
always kind
sometimes
of tends to go that way.
that's sometimes the way I feel about God. And Laura and I
Mm,
are, she initiated the discussion about a future podcast that we could do together. And it's basically, that's how we feel about God. You know,
Mm.
it can be
mm,
trusted, not, not clear, doesn't seem like a good leader, all those things. Yet I'm challenged and even, yelled at sometimes to get back in line and get back in the system and submit to him. Well, give me a more coherent book. Give me speak to me more often than never, and do something responsible. And then I can submit to you, because occasionally it's okay to, like this weekend, I was totally dedicated to Laura and what she needed.
mm.
And that's love, that's respect, that's so on. That's happened over 30 something years of marriage, right?
And
But
still
the
imperfect, right?
relationship, right?
You have
And
to work
I've
at it.
never been able to say, just submit to me, woman, mainly
Mm.
because that was her nature to submit. And so I don't think I ever had that language of, you better get in line, whatever, ramble, ramble, ramble. Sorry if you
No,
take
no,
me.
Well,
but it's interesting with these ways where that it ends up making us like with these blanket statements like submit, like
yeah,
so like and all these systems. It just takes out like the humanness to everything. And I know we've kind of danced around this. It's either completely believe these words in a book, or and when you're doing that, completely don't trust your own emotions,
yeah.
your own life experiences, your own common
Intuition.
sense. It doesn't have to be one or the other, but I think somehow in these systems, I guess for these systems to be successful, it has to be one or the other to keep us where we're at and controlling us. But it is
Mhm.
definitely very, very stupid and has led to a lot of violence. I mean, even just the idea of submission, it's led to a ton of violence.
But
Yeah.
I think that the violence thing is like what I'm getting at is just like, I think maybe not violence specifically, but like, if
Yeah.
you really do believe whole, like if you are bought into the Christian ideology or whatever other ideology, you should be whole hog into it. You
Yeah.
should sell all your possessions to the poor or give
Mhm.
away all your possessions to the poor and follow Jesus. But because that's literally what the Bible says. But what Christian do you guys know, besides like maybe a few monks or nuns, that have done that? They don't. No one's gonna do that because they
Mhm.
don't believe in it. That's my point. You don't. If you're not willing to die right now, if I deny you and you're not willing to die right now, you don't believe in it to the degree that the Bible demands that you believe in it.
Yeah.
And so I don't think you're a real Christian. I don't know.
Mhm.
For as much as of course, I abhor violence, and I generally think that we don't need to adhere to religion that strictly. But if you do think we do, I think some of the people that you should be most enamored with are the people who give their lives up for it.
Mhm.
And if you're not willing to put yourself in those situations, if you're not sailing to the islands off southern Australia to get speared by a bunch of native people in a rowboat, I don't respect your face that much. If all you do
Mhm.
is tweet.
Or off the coast of Florida in modern days, just get in a boat and get shot by a missile.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, that's not even for faith. That's for nationalism, which God
Yeah.
which
Right.
God or Jesus would have abhorred. So it's again, that's again showing that you don't believe in what you say you do. And again, we can go through all, like, I've compiled a number of verses, and we don't even have to go through any of them. But my point here
Mhm.
is just like, I just really do not believe that people actually believe in what it should be. And like, again, what faith is needed, and I just view it all as arbitrary, and I don't think that I have yet to see anyone who can create a consistent like motif or I guess like explanation of what it really means to be that devoted to Christ or Jesus or whatever. I think there are people who have put forward like radical visions of Jesus as like a pacifist, which I think that those can be applicable, right? Like if we just want to like totally sacrifice ourselves for like love and like the right thing that we believe, then maybe in those cases I can say, okay, yeah, then maybe if you're willing to die for that, then you believe in it. But if you're willing to create a war in the Middle East, or if you're wanting to do these crusades, that doesn't seem anything like what Jesus or the Bible says, or at least the New Testament says. I mean, again, we can talk about the New versus Old Testament, because I think there are plenty of examples of like, you talk about like, for instance, we like in Christianity, we talk about a lot about like the age of, what is the phrase? Age of accountability. Right. Yes. Thank you, Stuart. The age of accountability, where it's just like you have the example from, what is it, Second Kings, where Elijah is marching and kills the 42 boys with the 2 she bears. Like, what did those like? First of all, how old are they? Because I need to know what the age of accountability is. And second of all, like, is that like, is saying "go up, Baldy, go up" or whatever the quote is from the Bible, like, is that sufficient to murder people and then theoretically damn them to hell forever? Doesn't.
Yeah, and that's the
like
problem, because the logical conclusion of what you're saying is that the logical conclusion is that really cults then are better Christians than most people. The trouble is,
commitment wise,
commitment wise, but the trouble is your holy book is so contradictory and can so lead itself to any kind of behavior that the directions are not clear. The creator supposedly of it doesn't communicate clearly to everybody all the time. Is not a good father. All those things. Yeah, I mean, your commitment. I mean, most people settle for, I'll give 10%. I'll give some of my effort. I'll give some of my devotion, and then I'll live my life like I'm on an island, and so on. And that's not really the essence of the gospel or anything. So it's confusing, because we all want to be good, right? I think everybody wants to be good in some way. Somehow somehow the worst people sometimes are just the most frustrated. I tried to be a good boy as a kid, but my dad just beat me all the time, then left me, and then all these things, and it never do me any good. So that become the worst person socially, and so on. Yeah. But yeah, it's just not. I mean, it's almost like woman that marries the guy hoping he'll change. I think that's how we end up being with our God and our holy books and so on. It's like, I guess this is the best one I can find to your relationship analysis.
And if that's the best you can find, how is it inerrant? Like, if you
why do you need it is my question. Just, I hate to be crude, but get a vibrator and live by yourself. Does that make sense in the argument?
Absolutely.
I often wonder why.
Wait, what was step 1?
Get a vibrator.
Oh, okay. And then 2 is go live.
Or the equivalent for the other sex.
Okay. Batteries are assumed on this list.
Yes, we can.
I often wonder that. Why do women?
We can raise some funds for communal batteries.
I wonder that a lot. Why do women put up with men?
I thought you were going to say something else communal.
I wonder why do women put up with men, and why do they go through all this with us?
I'm curious if some of it is that we romanticize certain things. Like in your example, like Karl, was like in a relationship, we romanticize somehow that love will like fix all of this somehow.
Once was lost, but now I'm found.
And with the church, I feel like that we also, like, some of what we've talked about, like giving our life for Christ, there's kind of this like horniness for persecution, like fantasizing that they like to do, like, oh, if I do this, I'll be persecuted. And if I do this, or if someone had a gun to my head and they're like, denounce Jesus, or else, I would tell them I'll never denounce Jesus. you know, they come up with these fantasies, like these ideas, and that really, like, well, if that happened, that's what I mean when I'm sacrificing. All of that is like, that's also like sacrificial fantasy in their minds, to not actually do the, like, just feed the dude, like, to actually like not deny Christ, just go feed him. Why do we need to be worried about that? And side note, like, even since I was a kid, I remember those things about persecution. We're like, what would you do if someone was going to like kill you? Would you deny Christ? And like, let's play this game. But as a kid, I was even like, you can just say whatever you want to say to get the guy to remove the gun. Like, I don't know if Jesus is going to be like, I'm so disappointed with you,
Right.
in heaven. Like, what?
And even then, is it better to give up your life for nothing? Like, is that going to change? Maybe you could say like, well, oh my gosh, like when he pulls the trigger, he's going to be so flabbergasted by your expression of faith. But then why wouldn't he just not kill you? But then again, also a lot of those like stories of like that person didn't like give up their faith before they died. Like most of those stories are bullshit. Like I don't know if you get, like, these are tough examples, but like the example of like you remember the story about the Columbine? There was the girl who said yes, right? You remember that? Yeah, that's a bullshit. It's not true. It's not, didn't happen, unfortunately. Like, and like, again, like we've done this throughout history. It's not only religion that does this, it's history in general. Like we want a good story, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it's true, and it doesn't mean that it's the best way to handle these things. It ends up a lot of times being nonsense, because like standing up for something in a time where it doesn't make a difference is useless, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the dying for someone else narrative is a little faulty to me, because I used to kind of say things like that, and I heard people say things like that early on in my marriage and marriages of others. I'd die for her, and even in marital counseling, I would tell the kid, I'd say, you're going to be tempted to say, I'll die for you. And what she wants to know is, are you going to take out the trash?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, are you going to live for me?
Yeah.
Dying for someone is not the ultimate. Dying in some ways.
Also,
Are you
the
going to
amount of
show
people
up
that
for
have a
me?
chance.
I mean,
and the amount of people that are going to be able, like, have a chance to die for someone else is so infinitesimally small
Very
that it's
limited.
nonsensical.
Yeah.
It's not worth
Hardly
it
ever
to
happen.
spend your time thinking about something that's never going to happen.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
But what will happen?
I feel like people do that, but it makes them feel good. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like
Because it
I've
makes you
covered
feel
my
like a hero.
bases on the extremeness of this, but I'm never going to be confronted with this anyways. All I've just kind of done is just
Yep. So it's nice to give myself a reach around, but it's not going to make a fucking difference, because it's not going to ever happen. But I think that goes it goes back to another thing that I like read. I don't know, all my notes on this, like, as with everything, because I don't want to preempt stuff. I want to do this as a discussion. But like one of the things I mentioned was this idea of like, why does the church establishment or the Bible or like Christianity, it depends on like where we're looking at it in terms of like the historical nature of these things, but why does it push us so much towards faith as opposed to the other parts of the Bible that talk about like kind of the scientific method, or like using like criteria of like evidence-based thinking, which does exist in the Bible. Like, again, one of my few and favorite verses of the Bible is, test all things and keep it as good. But that's not what we harp on. That's not what the church or American Christianity harps
They
on.
don't allow that. That's experimentation. What you're talking about is experimentation, and that's definitely not approved of by the church.
Because I think it goes back to exactly, and it also goes back to what Stuart was talking about, which it makes people uncomfortable, because it's so much easier to say, I'm going to do something that I'll never have to do, which is get beheaded by the Antichrist from reading, the End Times novels or whatever, Left Behind novels. So it's nice to think about, and nice to go, well, I could. It's the same. This kind of branched off another thing, but it's the same stuff of like gun owners that are like, I'm gonna pull out my gun from under the bed and kill the guy that's breaking into my house, that's gonna rape my wife, and it's like, that shit. None of that's gonna happen.
Never happened.
For sure. Absolutely it could. It does happen in places. But here's the thing. In one of the safest countries on the planet, it's much less likely. If you're really worried about protecting women and like fighting for the rights of Christians, go to sub-Saharan Africa. Go to the Sahel region in Africa and fight for Christians. Take
Well,
up an
fight for the
AK-47.
women in your
Go fight for them
church.
if you really believe
Fight
in it.
for the women in your church to quit being abused by
That's
the
the
system.
point, is that if you won't even do that, so stop fucking talking about how you're a hero and you're gonna go fucking do something big and you're gonna fucking die for Jesus. It's just, well, that's
right. You won't even stand up
No,
for the
but
women in
you're
your
saying this
office.
because what my brain is telling me, like it's investing deeply for low probability results. Is
Yeah.
kind of what I'm hearing. That's insane. Like when we start putting it kind of like that, like
Yeah.
if you peel it back, I'm just like,
But it's
Stand up.
nice when you don't have to think about it, right? Because it makes
Yeah.
you feel good.
yeah,
I'm a big
But
big strong man.
the same guys won't stand up for women in their office that are being abused or,
Well, it's half the time they're the same
forced
people fucking
language.
abusing those women.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. The same people like Donald Trump that are going, these people in X country that isn't our country, so whatever, like self-determination should ensure that they should be able to determine whatever they want. They like want to make like women second-class citizens, and so we should, go fight some nonsensical war in the Middle East where we just like indiscriminately bomb children, instead of standing up for the person in their church or ensuring that women have equal rights. But that's the thing, is that from the jump, evangelical or evangelical Christianity, or like a Southern Baptist ideology, for instance, like more conservative Christianity, doesn't want that. They also view women as second class citizens. So they have the same goal. So, okay. But again, then that goes to like, okay, who is the Antichrist? Again, that's not going to happen. So it doesn't matter. Again, it's an unfalsifiable claim, and it's a thing that's, like Stuart was saying, it's very low probability. You're playing the games, you're rolling the dice, and you're probably going to win. And so it makes you feel good and like a tough guy. But then, grifters, like we talked about, 50 episodes ago, with these, alpha male grifters that are just trying to push their ideology and just make money off of it. But that's how the American evangelical Christianity, like,
it's a
economic
hustle.
cycle just keeps, yeah, exactly. It just keeps going again and again and again.
And
But it
none of it
doesn't,
has really anything to do with Jesus.
and it doesn't
Yeah.
follow. And again,
Yep.
we can jump around. I mean, this is my favorite thing, is just we just start quoting random verses of the Bible wherever we want, because we can find, obviously, like we've talked about, not controversial, obviously, like controversial stuff, but contradictory ideas in the Bible all the time, whatever it is.
Yeah, but I can use any line from Harry Potter to justify about anything in my life. I mean, and if I was saying that just sounds stupid if people were to say that, but we do this the same way.
Yeah.
With this, and there's mega themes in the Bible, and a lot of those major themes usually just revolve around love, not treating your neighbor like shit, and somehow we miss those, and we're just like, no, we got to focus in on all this other stuff.
Retribution.
Yeah, but like, let's start with love. Nah, screw that. Let's go round. Let's worry about like child trafficking rings around the world, but not pay attention to all of like the pedophile pastors that are in the pulpits of the Southern
the goddamn
Baptist churches.
president, for fuck's sake.
And,
Yeah.
Our politicians and all his
Come
friends.
on, dude.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, again, we can pop around anywhere.
Beautiful projection.
You want to talk about that when we talk? But again, that was another thing that that was frustrating. And we won't get to all this, and we can come back to this later again, because I'm sure I'll come back to this topic again and again. But you look at like what's happening right now, currently in our political environment, where it's just like there's no care for these things, or it's just like, well, this person, like, I mean, obviously Trump is the easiest example. Well, he's flawed, but he's the chosen one, right?
Yeah.
The Saul to Paul thing, or whatever, David, right? He's like, I've heard Trump compared to David, which is, it's like, okay, if David like literally cheated on his, like, had sex with another man's wife and then murdered him before that,
Send him into battle.
They
send him into battle.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like, okay, well, but again, like, if you want to go back to the children thing, like, let's look at the Bible verses, like Matthew 18:6.
Yeah.
Whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it would be better for him to have a million great stones fastened around his neck than and drown in the depths of the sea. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me when you actually read the Bible. But I think that may be the biggest issue, is that Americans can't fucking read, or at least they refuse to. I don't know what it is. Like, clearly, Stuart, you've read Harry Potter, and obviously both of you have read the Bible very in depth, which I think is why we've all come to this place where we don't fucking believe totally in the Bible anymore, because we actually fucking read it. But anyway, that's just this is a whole thing about my frustration, and maybe I'll kind of try to track this down a little bit for the next time we do our recording. But like, it just drives me crazy, because like I don't know what to do besides plop the Bible down in front of people's faces and say, how can you make sense of this, and how can you create a logical ideology from this? It's just so diverse, and so you can't. I don't think. I would love to see people try, and obviously people have, but I obviously think they're dumb.
Yeah. Back to submission, we can submit ourselves to people without it being, all in. I mean, it's all in a way when you submit to people, when you love people, but not to the point that God asked for it, that we were to die to ourselves, mistreat ourselves to love you. It's nuanced and all that. I love Brene Brown, and I think she says a lot of things right, but everything she says is not totally right. There's still things that don't play out exactly like she says, right? But in the same vein, there's 100 things that she says really well that really help me, that help my life, and so I can latch onto those as long as they work, as long as they still make sense for me. But she's not God, and I don't give her all my money, and I don't, I don't sell my house to support her, and things like that, like a good Christian would, obviously, from the Bible, I guess. But how can you, like JD's favorite verse, test, that's experimenting, back to that. I keep experimenting and saying, well, if I believe that bravery involves vulnerability, like Brene Brown says, then I test that. I experiment with that in my life and see how it works out. And got to keep my head open. I got to think. I got to, not fudge the results just to prove that I was right by following her, who she said she was right. But our relationship with God is way more whacked out than that. It's just way more ridiculous than that. The trouble is, it's the opiate of the masses. It's done in a way that addicts us, that keeps us under control and always in fear. And so it's a real whacked out way of living life. Except that I believe in loving people. I believe in the kindness that the Bible mentions. I also believe in compassion the Bible mentions. I also believe that everyone is my neighbor, like the Bible says. So there's parts of it that are really good when they don't get messed up by human organizations and whatever, if there is spiritual organizations, etc. Blah blah blah. But
I mean, that's
part of one YouTube video to explain it all.
My points, though, is that like my point is not to bash Christianity or any religion in particular. It's just that to say that any one book is infallible or has all the answers, especially when it has been so
manipulated,
and so thoroughly proven that it's not. The people that have followed the Bible, or take whatever the Talmud, or the Quran, or the Tao Te Ching, or the I Ching, or whatever holy book you want to look at. If we want to read the I Ching, I have it in my room right now. It's not infallible. There are issues with it, like especially when you apply it over time. Because when you're applying 2,000-year-old philosophy, which philosophy is philosophy, like it's people thinking and it's people messing around with ideas, and some of them work and some of them don't. But again, we have to apply the scientific method. They're not going to work forever. They don't work to all situations. Again, this is my issue with axioms and maxims. Like, they just don't apply to everything. And so you can hold on to these things, but you do so at your own demise, in my opinion, because you are only holding yourself back and creating a tiny fraction of a window that you can look through and observe the world through. And I think it's such an unfortunate, like, handicapping of yourself. But
yeah, it's good.
And the sad thing about it is, it's that little tiny crack that you're looking through. It's it's a worldview that somebody else started with and passed it down. So you're not even owning this. Like, this is something that someone just gave you, and and you're just stuck there with this old thing.
Yeah.
Well, and even that, I think, is
celebrate.
we're not even accepting the whole view, right?
Yeah.
We're accepting a tiny fraction. So what you're doing is, instead of taking this person's view and this person's view as a whole and then accepting it, you're instead just picking and choosing the little pinholes of light that you want to come through to you. And so in the end, you're just getting a monochrome picture of a blurry background, because you just have little pinholes of light sticking through, as opposed to, I have this view, these rips and tears, and then I have this person that ripped off the other person's view and like tore that part of it apart. And now I have this tapestry that I can look at. And is it perfect? Is it infallible? Of course fucking not, because nothing's infallible. And I think to believe anything is infallible, you've already fooled yourself, because by that, you are no longer willing to accept any sort of criticism, etc. I just think that it's, even if you're living by the Bible, again, test all things, keep it as good, you're not living by the Bible. So you've already failed the test, in my opinion, if that's how you're living your life.
Yeah, that's so good, JD.
It just, this has been on my mind. I've been frustrated with this.
I love it.